Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there.
Hi.
Cirrus, are you ready for some serious media analysis?
I don't think so, but I kind of want to kill myself,
We are going to engage in some serious media analysis while I wear my NSYNC shirt.
Okay. Can we what are we media analyzing? Can it be Sonic the Hedgehog?
No.
Okay.
I don't have a news story for this or anything, but I figured I was going to talk about it at some point anyway because it was driving me nuts. So welcome to another edition of My Kids Are Watching a Thing and I have to suffer through it, so I'm going to fucking talk about it.
Okay.
Hats. Hattie hat. Yeah, so recently my youngest two have been into fucking Spongebob SquarePants.
I mean that makes sense. It's
obnoxious.
It's a decent show.
No, it is obnoxious as fuck.
Okay.
And I don't know. I am probably not the first person to pick up on this.
Yeah.
But I'm not like... I don't enjoy it like I enjoy Bluey, so I'm not doing a deep dive to see what everybody else is saying about it. So I'm going to come out with...
About SpongeBob?
About SpongeBob. So I'm going to come out with a potential hot take. SpongeBob is capitalist propaganda.
Another hot take. SpongeBob is the brainchild of a marine biologist who wanted to have a as accurate as possible, but also definitely quirky and silly kid show, which is what happened.
It is capitalist propaganda.
I mean, in the sense that Mr. Krabs exists as a character, I guess.
See, Mr. Krabs is the plausible deniability. He is the plausible deniability, so that people can say, like, oh, no, it's not capitalist propaganda, because Mr. Krabs is clearly not a good guy. But here's the thing. Watching the dynamic between Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Squidward, Squidward is clearly the lazy employee who doesn't go above and beyond for their boss, while SpongeBob is the good employee who does go above and beyond for their boss. SpongeBob is unquestionably the guy who's painted in the most sympathetic light in the show. And the whole thing there is that even though the capitalist overlords are greedy, money-hungry, don't care about their employees, nasty little shits, you should still go above and beyond at work. That is how you find fulfillment in life, because there's an episode where SpongeBob gets fired and he just loses all purpose in his life because he doesn't have his work for the greedy capitalist overlord, and to the point where he asks if he can work there for free. So, yes, SpongeBob is fucking capitalist propaganda.
I think that's meant to be more of a pitiable thing, though. I mean, okay, so, like, if we're gonna look at this, if we're gonna do this seriously and look at this through a Marxist lens, then Squidward is the character who's developed class consciousness. He is the one who derives his joy from the arts. He is the one who has the most critiques of the Krusty Krab. He is the one who has the most critiques of the system. He is the one that looks down on the people who...
And he is almost universally portrayed as an unsympathetic character who is always trying to get one over on SpongeBob.
Understandable. Better hot take. SpongeBob is autistic, and working at the Krusty Krab is, well, it may have been his hyperfixation once, but it 100% became a special interest over time.
Okay. But that
doesn't say anything on your analysis. That's a...
that is neither a point for or against my analysis.
If we wanted to go with your analysis, then it's a point for your analysis, because... It adds to the idea of the working class especially the working class who may have mental disabilities or who may be neurodivergent, being taken advantage of by that system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, sure, why not?
Absolutely.
We could do that. We could do that. We can also, I guess, you could also have the fun conversation because, like, you've seen enough. Have you seen enough SpongeBob to know about the beef between Mr. Krabs and Plankton?
Yes. So I was actually going to bring that up as well because Plankton is unquestionably the bad guy in any of the episodes that he's in, and Mr. Krabs is kind of sort of the good guy in that, and he deserves to keep hold of his intellectual property, even though it might be better served for the community if more people had access to that recipe, and so more people could enjoy good food.
So I would say this.
It is our recipe, comrade.
I would say this. I think it's maybe more accurate to say that SpongeBob contains capitalist apologia, but I would not think it's accurate to say it is capitalist propaganda.
So I will admit that I did not do the deep research on this that I did when I was talking about Bluey's parents being swingers.
Because it wasn't your special interest.
Well, no, it's because Bluey's actually a good show.
I think, okay, so I will come to the defense of SpongeBob in the earlier seasons. Because they have been repeating.
I don't even fucking know what season they're watching.
It's a show that's syndicated, so it's built to be reran a billion times. But like it in the earlier seasons of SpongeBob, it did have a lot more. What is the best way to put this? The episodes had more salient messages as opposed to just SpongeBob is a goof and Patrick is a moron. Let's watch them go frolic. It's also why most of the memes about SpongeBob were all made off of like the first 4 seasons.
Okay. Like I said, I've not watched enough of it. I've watched enough of it to know that I fucking hate it. Because they just, like, I don't know, there's just too much unnecessary noise. Like, even the fucking theme song, they have kids screaming atonally in the background. Like, no, can you do, like, kids can sing. It is possible for kids to sing. You. No, get kids that can sing for your fucking theme song. Ugh.
So, I think I agree with the kernel of truth that you're aiming at. I do. Why is my phone beeping? It is. I need to stop having this alarm. This is the most inconvenient alarm. Why did I set an alarm for 8:40 at night? Anyway. I
mean, your dog set an alarm for 10 o'clock at night on Wednesdays, so...
Yeah, it's true. Though I'm hoping that she will be very, very worn out. We did some leash training today, and she passed out on the floor when we got home. So I'm hoping that maintains. But I think I agree with the kernel of truth that you're working with, that is the capitalist messages that are inherent in there. But I mean, we can do a Marxist analysis of anything and find that. I think the term propaganda does not necessarily apply here.
Possibly because,
like,
not.
The Tuttle Twins is propaganda.
I don't know what the Tuttle Twins are.
Like, PragerU Kids is propaganda.
Oh, those, yeah, that is
like, that's
most definitely, yeah.
And I know that it's technically a bad argument to say that this thing isn't X because I have a worse example of X, because that's what an abuser says after they're beating you and they go, that's not a beating, this is a beating. And then they start hitting harder. Like, that's not that.
So Axolotl says Rhino's really trying to cosplay Mr. Fantastic with all that stretching.
You know, I think it definitely has pro-capitalist messaging, but I don't
here's
think...
the thing. When I'm watching shows that I like, TV or movies or whatever, that I don't like, and I'm not even enjoying from a so bad it's good sort of position, I start analyzing it from a technical standpoint, because that's how I derive entertainment from it then. So it's like... Yeah. Like in live action, so it would be like, why are they choosing the camera angles that they're choosing? Why is the lighting the way that it is? Why did they cut here? Why did they... So we watched, what is it? Adolescence? We watched the first episode of Adolescence last week. Probably not going to watch the rest of it, because it was just so long and drawn out and kind of felt like really boring. And I get that that's partially what they were going for. But like, I actually did enjoy it from a standpoint, like, it wasn't until about halfway through the episode that I realized that, like, oh, they're doing this whole thing in one goddamn take. And so I started like analyzing it from that perspective and seeing where they could potentially hide hidden cuts and everything. Apparently they didn't do any hidden cuts, but there were several spots where they could have done one. But yeah, so like, it's a really well put together show. And I was also like looking at it from like, okay, it's making me uncomfortable with the way they're doing the camera work. And at first I was like, is that unintentional? Because some of it seemed kind of amateurish, like the framing was off just a little bit, like the over the shoulder shots, you couldn't see the shoulder of the one person, so it didn't feel like quite right. And the more I got into it, the more it was like, oh no, they did that on purpose because they want you to feel uncomfortable. They want you to feel like what it would be like, to be taken away to a police station for the day and not know what's going on. And
it's like watching a Kubrick film. And you're just like, man, they're lingering on this shot for a minute or two. This makes me feel queasy. Oh, right. It's because there's a robot AI that wants to fucking kill everybody here. Of course you're going to feel queasy. Like, I get that. I get that. So I do want to say there is actually a possibly socialist conversation to be had about SpongeBob, if you're willing to hear a couple of points.
Sure.
We're already here. Why not? Okay, cool.
I titled the stream for this because I knew we were going to get derailed on this right off the beginning. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll make sure everybody knows what they're getting into when they click the video.
All right. So here's my take. So Bikini Bottom has one of two things guaranteed. It either has a very high standard of living and very high wages because SpongeBob is able to afford a house on a fry cook's wage.
Patrick is able to afford a house being unemployed.
Which means that there is likely either UBI or a strong safety net in Bikini Bottom. And for there to be UBI or a strong safety net, if this is looked at through the contemporary lens of how workers' rights have operated throughout the world,
Fennec is saying that SpongeBob apparently has rich parents.
I don't remember if he has rich parents or not. We don't hear anything about the income there. What I can say is that, yes, lots of people have jobs in Bikini Bottom, but people without jobs still have homes, which leads me to believe that there was some workers' right fight that happened somewhere in Bikini Bottom, and it was so successful that we still have good standards of living for everyone. I mean, hell, isn't Squidward's house, when he works at the freaking cashier job, doesn't he have like a good 2-story house? And he's able to afford very expensive brass instrumentry. Like, they're not in a terrible spot. Nobody seems to be in a super terrible spot financially. And yeah, on the one hand, you can look at that as it's a cartoon, duh. But on the other hand, these are adults that are shown with jobs. And so, at the very least, something happened. Some workers' rights things happened. And everybody is better off for it.
Yeah, okay, sure. But that's the thing though, is because the capitalist aspect is the text. The stuff that you're looking at is the subtext. So the capitalist message is the more overt message. Which I'm not saying the subtext is like you can just discard it without considering it, but it is worth thinking about how the capitalist side of it is the more explicit.
Also, apparently, there was an episode in 2001 where Squidward formed the Communist Party of Bikini Bottom. So apparently that's a thing.
Okay.
I don't remember that particular episode, but I don't know.
Fennec is linking to a SpongeBob wiki for Margaret SquarePants.
Okay. Comrade Tentacles.
Okay.
Yeah, on this. Oh, it's SpongeBob fanon. Never mind. That's not actual thing.
Okay.
I would thought I was on the SpongeBob wiki, but no, that's SpongeBob fanon wiki. But I don't know. I think you can definitely read in arguments for multiple sides. in SpongeBob, but it seems if I were to steal man your position, the on the surface reading is that it's bad. The on the surface reading is pro-capitalist.
Artemis says Margaret Taylor Greenpants. Ooh, Hitchmeister's got a good point.
We got to talk about her. We got to talk about her today.
Yeah, I know. Hitchmeister's got a good point. Or it's propaganda. They're trying to insinuate that anyone can have a house and a good life with any job, and if you think otherwise, you're being contrarian. So that we don't need to raise minimum wage. It's already high enough. You can have
minimum wage in Bikini Bottom is great. Ignore the strike that happened in Bikini Bottom.
Like I said, I've seen like 5 episodes, and I was only half paying attention because I fucking hate it. It's obnoxious. Okay,
I can understand the perspective of hating it.
This is what I got from it. Have I seen the bald episode? No, I haven't.
There's like 500 episodes of SpongeBob, if not more.
So they go on.
God damn it, silly Shinobi! Fuck off! Stupid goddamn fucking wills.
Ooh, small beans, little babies.
Can I have like the coordinates to your house for not ICBM related reasons?
I mean, I happen to know that you're probably on the verge of getting deported right now, so you're not going to have access to an ICBM.
Fair. Wait, how do you know that? What?
Because you are someone who is critical of the Trump administration who lives in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. Have you been tased yet?
No, but it happened really close to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you were a little blacker, maybe you would have been.
Yeah, if I had to show a little bit more melanin, maybe.
Yep.
God, that was... Why did you need 40 goddamn police officers, 20 cars, a paddy wagon, 2 drones, at least, and 2 freaking officers patrolling on horseback? Just... I guess there were 250 of us, but I mean, come on!
Yeah.
There were more people outside the event than inside the event.
Yeah, that's because she very tightly controlled who was allowed inside the event, and she still managed to end up with leakers inside.
And as a result of that, the inside was empty.
Yeah, and then they tried to empty out the leakers, and so it got even more empty.
Yep, 6 people got arrested. By the way, getting arrested for standing up and trying to say something in a town hall, I can't think of a fucking law that breaks.
One of them was arrested for obscenity, which is a local ordinance.
What's the obscenity? Saying the fuck word?
Yeah, probably, but like the Supreme Court has made it quite clear that is a constitutionally protected expression.
Yeah.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene, go fuck yourself.
Bohemian Lucy, 1, thank you for the whoa. 2, yes, it's going to take me a bit to get to redeems. That always does when there's a guest. This has been a thing for like 5 years.
Hi, I'm a guest.
I mean, I'm the guest here, but I'm also live on my channel, so you're the guest there. We're the guests in each other's houses right now.
Cyrus's stream looks janky right now because he's a lazy asshole.
You're not wrong. Better question. Every time you do a scene change, and the fact that I can barely read anything on the screen that I'm looking at on your end anywho, none of that translates well to my OBS.
Okay, you could just pipe the whole thing in as one thing and not have your border around it like you do.
I don't have my border around it. I don't have my double chat.
No? Okay. What? Well, then you change how you've done it since the last time I watched your channel while I was on your channel. That's not a thing I do very often, okay?
Okay, well, I'm glad this lover spat is over.
Artemis says, Cyrus, you need glasses. But, yeah, so we'll talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene thing in between stories later. But, Yeah, so fun fact, the video that I'm working on now, it's a response to Braxton Hunter put out another Questions for Atheists video, and it's fucking bait, but I can't resist the bait. And one of the questions was about how like a bunch of atheist YouTubers have pivoted their channel to be more political after the last election. He's like, what has changed in the culture to cause that? Why is it so important now?
Is it because we have a fascist in office? Is it
Yeah.
that maybe? Is it?
Yeah. So that's the thing.
I'm gonna respond to that video later today. Now, fuck it. Now I'm gonna take the bait.
Fuck
That
you.
made me mad.
Come on. Why gotta do that to me? It's like
To you? Wait, hold
can you
on.
wait?
Hold
can
on.
you wait a week? Wait a week and a half.
Can I
Wait a week
wait
and a half? Because that's when mine's coming out. Mine's coming out on not this Friday, but next.
I mean, okay. I could compromise on that. My compromise is
Duramo 10 says 2. It was 2 atheist YouTubers. Yeah, it was Zod and Christy Burke. I mean, I assumed that there were more. Those were just the examples that he found. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. My content has, like, I've been, for several years, like, while Biden was in office, I basically avoided anything political. Like, I would do videos on LGBTQ people, but, like, I wouldn't make it about politics. I wouldn't talk about the government. I wouldn't do stuff like worst I would get is, like, if the Supreme Court did something stupid, I might say the Supreme Court did something stupid, and that was it. It would just be like a one-off. But like recently I've been dropping more like, oh, Trump is an idiot into my videos, and just not even backing it up with stuff, just to kind of weed out the right-wing audience that always accumulates slowly over time.
Yeah.
So this time I just go right into like, oh, you want to know why politics are important to atheists all of a sudden, huh? Okay, let's get out Umberto Eco's list of 14 things that you can tell a fascist government with. I know it's not just supposed to be a checklist where it has all these things, but I'm also looking at, there's another book, The Dual State, I think it's called, by someone who was a Jewish lawyer living in Nazi Germany. Like he fled Nazi Germany in 1938. And he goes over how they rose to power and how there was a dual justice system going on where the average German citizen could expect the justice system to work as per usual for them. But for certain groups, the Constitution didn't matter. So they could just like take you out of the country and send you to I don't know, prison slave labor camp in another country and then pretend like they don't have the power to bring you back from the other country because it's not Germany.
The thing that they're doing right now.
Yeah,
the thing that the state is doing as
so it's like,
exact moment.
That is explicitly a Nazi tactic. That is exactly what they did. Like and they justified that with emergency powers. So like we invoke these emergency powers, so for most people it's fine, but when we need to, there's an emergency so we can get rid of all the communists. And the Reichstag fire, sorry, I know I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. The Reichstag fire was the emergency that justified the use of those powers, and it got blamed on the communists, so the communists were the first ones to go, and that's why that poem starts with "First they came for the socialists."
Yay!
And so here we are. First they came for the immigrants.
That's the first people they've been trying to deport, or saying that that's who they're deporting since
It's not hard to figure out who's going to be next in the poem.
I mean, it's the homegrowns next. It's Trump's actual fucking words.
Mm-hmm.
His actual.
So Paige Wilder is saying first they came for the communists. So I'm going to be the pedant here and be like, it's not actually a set in stone poem. It is how he opened his talks. Like the guy who wrote it, it was how he opened his talks for years, and he varied it quite a bit in between talks. So yeah, sometimes it was first they came for the communists, sometimes it was first they came for the socialists. But it was always one of those two was the first one.
So we keep using the word deportation. I did get corrected on this, and I think we need to be specific in our. Yes, but there's a specific word. It's called rendition. Renditioning is the practice of sending a, quote, foreign criminal or terrorist suspect covertly to be interrogated in a country that has less rigorous regulations or humane treatment for prisoners. That is what we are actually doing. It's not deportation, because deportation can be just back to your home country. What we are doing is we are sending them to a country with a dictator known for human rights violations to a prison known to engage in human rights violations. That's the word that describes what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
and it may be a good idea. This is a note to my editor, and I guess maybe a note for Rhino's editor as well, since we're here. Because that's not how we usually use the word rendition in common parlance, it may be a good idea to throw that definition from Google up anytime that we use it so that it sticks.
Sure. I'll try and remember that. Yeah, they also mentioned that the memo about them probing the leak has the possibility of undergoing polygraph tests, which are known to be bullshit. You can beat a polygraph test by, like, clenching your butthole while they calibrate it.
Wait, hold on. Say that again?
You didn't know that? So the way you beat a polygraph test is, so the way they work is they calibrate it. They get a baseline. This is what your vital signs are like when things are normal. Then we ask you a bunch of questions, and if you're not lying, then your vitals will stay normal. But if you are lying, then you get stressed out or whatever, so you might tense up or whatever, and so these things will change, so that'll make the polygraph. So if you clench your butthole while they're calibrating it, you are tense, and so it thinks that's your baseline, so then when you tell the lie, it thinks that you're just normal. That is how you beat a lie detector test. And that's even in as much as they work at all, because there's a lot of research to suggest that they just don't even work.
I wonder
like,
why do we just use them
noise.
as an intimidation factor? Like, is that the only purpose they serve, truly?
Basically, I've actually heard stories of police taking people into, like, when photocopy machines first became a thing, they would take suspects into the photocopy room when they had them at the station. They put their hand on the photocopy machine and be like, this will tell us if you're telling a lie or not, or whatever. And they would compel people to confess by lying to them about the photocopy machine being a lie detector test.
Ah, yes.
So yeah,
the Xerox brand lie detector.
Yeah, it's always been bullshit, and it's just a way for them to intimidate people into hopefully confessing.
Jesus, I can't say I hate not our country. You're not part of it. Fuck off. I can't say I hate my country. I hate what my country's become. I hate that my country's not better. But I know that that's a unilateral thing across most states with heavy police forces anyway.
Here's the thing about that, though. You hate what your country has become. You hate that your country isn't better. That shows an underlying love for your country, I would argue.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't try to improve something that you don't care about.
Yeah,
so,
you don't polish a turd because you know it's still going to be a turd.
Yeah. Yeah. So contrary to what the Trump regime would have us believe, being upset with how things are in the States means that you care about the States.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that takes us back to Umberto Eco's essay. One of the points is that disagreement is treason. So if you hate what your country has become, that's treason. But I hate that would be treason. Like, that's a sign of fascism. I'd rather we not be fascist.
Yeah.
Tasha is pointing out, daily reminder, cops are allowed to lie to you. Yeah, that is true. They cannot be, like, if you confess something as a result of a cop lying to you, your confession doesn't get thrown out because the cop lied.
Yep, you have to be able to prove something like entrapment, which is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Riddle of Lightning says the power of the police state is not that the police will interact with you, it's that the sword of Damocles hangs above you. And yeah, as somebody who reads a lot of the Dresden Files, and his entire story is about having the doom of Damocles held above him basically from the time he was a teenager, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You seem to be staring off into the distance. You okay?
Oh no, I'm just enjoying my new teleprompter. I have the chat is in front of my camera, so now I can make eye contact with them while I'm reading them.
That eye contact makes you look like you're spacing out.
Really? Because I've always thought that because normally it's like over here, down here, so I'm like looking off to the side and like, chat. It shouldn't have to be a hot take that fascism is bad, says Plow King. I'm making eye contact with you.
Oh my god! It shouldn't have to be a hot take. The thing is, it's if we're to be more effective, I think we need to agree that nobody worth listening to, and that includes Republicans, thinks fascism bad as a hot take. That's not where the problem lies.
I'm small. I'm gonna have to read that. Please never get that close to the camera again. Okay, Fennec.
But the problem is never that fascism bad is a hot take. Is a hot take. The problem is always an inability for people to agree on what fascism is, and because of their inability to agree on what it is, they're really hard at recognizing when it's at home.
Fun fact, if you read Umberto Eco's essay, like the actual essay, not the lists that are compiled elsewhere from it. Fascism. He goes over that the fuzziness of fascism is one of its defining characteristics. The fact that you can't pin it down as like, oh, you're not exactly the same as this other dictatorial regime, so we could like. Yeah, it is technically incorrect to call the current American regime Nazis because they are not the National Socialist, whatever, the NSDAP party of Germany in the 1930s. So, yeah, and there are differences. There are distinct differences between how the Trump regime and the Nazi regime operate. And so anytime we call them fascists or Nazis or whatever, there will inevitably be people be like, oh, well, they haven't like done X, Y, and Z. Therefore, they're not. You're like, okay, well, they're still fascist. That just means they're not the exact same kind of fascist.
I mean, that's the same. So there is a friend of mine who is he's in this weird paradox of, I'd call myself a libertarian, but also I don't study politics, which means you shouldn't leave that one. That sounds like that's the most libertarian thing I've heard.
I know. I was going to say realistically, most libertarians haven't.
Like, yes, I agree that's the case, but when you're willing to say, like, even assign a soft label to yourself while also saying I'm not super well informed on these things, it speaks to what your default is, and that default sounds to me like Elon Musk fanboy, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, so we had a conversation of like the difference between communism and fascism, and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. In the middle of a restaurant parking lot. So I can't remember exactly what I said, but I know that there is a failure that I had in that conversation. When I talked about communism, I said, well, fascism is all of these things, and sometimes not all of these things. And then communism is just a stateless, classless, moneyless society. Like, that's all communism is. It is functionally impossible to have fascism within communism as defined that way. It doesn't mean that it's likely that we establish communism, but if you don't have a state, it's very hard to have a fascist state, for instance. But the thing that I should have said, and I did not say at the time, and I'm probably going to say in a future conversation, was, well, let's start with the first difference. One of these is an economic system, and the other one is an ideology.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first major fucking difference. One of these is about how we do the wealth thing, because you can't distribute wealth to a state if a state doesn't exist. One is a wealth thing, and one is about who do we get to kill.
Yeah. So, my partner and I went out for lunch today. There's a little cafe that's been open for a while that we've been meaning to go to. And they have a little library in their seating area that you're supposed to be able to like take a book and read while you have your lunch or whatever. And I'm pretty sure it's done entirely based on donations, just by how eclectic the collection was. It was like, there was no rhyme or reason to it. Like they had fucking Game of Thrones sitting right beside the Bible. But one of the books that they had just happened to be Atlas Shrugged.
Look, I think there's a good reason that Game of Thrones was next to the Bible, though. I think I know what it is.
A lot of rape and pillaging?
They're both massive tomes with huge fan bases that have never fucking read them.
I listened to them on audiobook. I count that as reading.
I count that as reading as well. That's the like if you've listened to the series on audiobook, that's the same thing to me.
They also have incest in common, as Leonari is pointing out.
I mean, they do have incest in common, but so does it has that in common with Lion King as well.
It's not explicit in Lion King. You're supposed to not think about it.
Yeah, but if Simba takes over his father's pride,
you're supposed to not think about it.
If Simba takes over his father's pride,
Nala is not his cousin or half sister.
If Simba takes over his father's pride and begins breeding with the females in his father's pride.
No. He only breeds with Nala because it's a Disney movie, not a whatever. I know, I get it. That's how lions work in real reality, but it's a cartoon, man.
It is a cartoon, but in reality, sponges do a lot of work for crabs. And squids do get exploited in this particular system.
I mean, when I got crabs, I did wash them off with a sponge. My apologies to everyone for that. So, Asina Salon posted in the Twitch chat a link to. Now, I was aware of this. I wasn't going to cover it, but since you made me click on it anyways, may as well mention it. So there's a YouTuber, Tiffany Fong, who posted on Twitter showing how much money she was making, which was about $42,000 a month. And she was talking about how great Twitter Premium is. Look at how much money I'm making, or whatever.
Yeah, 21,000 of it was from frickin' Elon.
Yeah, but so that's the thing. It was not actually saying that it was from Elon. It was just like the Twitter payment. Like it supposedly was just what her account had earned from all the interaction or whatever that she'd done on the platform. Like that's how it was supposed to be. And I don't know who it was. I didn't pull their tweet, but I did see it. There was like a person posted about how like, oh, this is just because Elon wants to have sex with her. He's 100% just upped her analytics so that he can have sex with her. And someone responded to him with like, no, you just wish like Elon could just slide into her DMs anytime he wants. He doesn't need to pay her. He's the richest man on the planet. He could do that anytime he wants. And then the story broke that he did slip into her DMs and he asked if he could impregnate her. And she said no. And then suddenly he unfollowed her and her payments from Twitter got suspiciously smaller, like significantly smaller. So yeah, no, he was fanboying over a YouTuber, wanted to sleep with her with his allegedly misshapen dick. And yeah, she shot him down, so he cut her funding. So.
Yay. Also, just realized why the Nick Fuentes. I
would just like to point out that the tweet that was sent to me, this is the picture that they chose for Elon.
So. The face you make when he hits one of the eyes with the special liquid. But the Nick Fuentes Destiny thing happened because there was a alleged leaked sex tape that seemed to clearly show Destiny, and it was with another man, and it seemed timing wise that the most liable person would have been Fuentes, but that's as far as everything's gotten. It's in the very allegedly area because technically leaking of that around is a form of revenge porn. Very likely. So that's about as far as that goes. We don't know for sure, but like, anywho.
So Drew Harrison, where is it? Nope, not that one. My YouTube chat is a little bit behind on my highlighty thingy. Anyway, okay, I'll just read it out. Drew Harrison says, I've never sucked a dick, but for 21K a month, I'll try. Well, maybe not Elon. I do have standards.
I have sucked a dick and probably will do so again.
Yeah, but also not Elon.
Not Elon. Not any dude's dick. That's just gross.
Do I need to make it weird again?
I think we're already kind of there.
I could make it so much weirder. We have done that before.
Trace James says, will you post the entire video of the protest? So Trace James, I actually made a video about this already, and it's going to be up on YouTube tomorrow. And I showed every bit of evidence I possibly could to show you what happened. So here's the problem with the protest for me. I was at the protest. I was streaming the protest. I had 52 people watching on the stream for the protest. Twitch did not save the VOD. Twitch stopped saving my VODs 2 weeks ago. I showed that bit of Twitch. I showed the bit of the news camera work that had me in it with my tripod showing the event. And then, of course, there were 52 witnesses to me streaming the event. I have every single bit of evidence that I was there doing exactly what I said I was doing. And I'm pissed at myself that I can't show the fucking stream of the thing I was at. God, I'm fucking angry.
Excuses. If you were serious, you would have the video.
I'm going to go ahead and use this moment real quick to let everybody know that, yes, I should have done infinitely better. I made a bunch of human mistakes.
I was not being serious.
I understand, but this is kind of important to me. Those are mistakes that should not have been made. Those are things that I should have made sure were taken care of beforehand, because it wasn't the only mistake I made during the event. Another mistake I made was not having all of my my microphones charged. In fact, there was a point during the event where a microphone died, and I switched to 2 other mics. Both of their batteries were dead, and the final mic had audio issues where it peaked a ton. So I guess I have 1 dud mic in my set of 4. And then I found out that I had the wrong charging cable for the battery pack I brought with me. So not only did my phone die midstream, but I didn't have the ability to recharge any of my battery cables. So the aside here, also the tripod that I brought with me was hollow, which is normally fine for like lighting and stuff where I have it inside my house, but it doesn't work for having a tripod outdoors where there's wind. So my phone almost fell flat on its face multiple times because I had a heavy gimbal on top of it. So, you know, hollow bit of aluminum, top heavy, not great. Lessons learned. So I have ordered myself a wagon for transporting materials. I've ordered myself a heavy-duty tripod with a hook on the bottom.
I'm picturing you with one of the like radio flyer wagons, like skipping down the road with all your equipment in it, pulling your little red wagon behind you.
I picked up a wagon because the news stations used a wagon, and I was like, oh shit, that's a good fucking idea. They had a collapsible wagon that they kept a like $300 heavy-duty tripod in with all the camera equipment. It was perfect. So I'm picking up one of those. I picked up a heavy-duty tripod, and I have picked up a solar-powered battery. That way I can charge whatever the hell I need, or power a laptop, anything I possibly could need, all on the go. And I have also bought a multi-charging station because I know what happened with my microphones.
This stream is brought to you by Jackery.
I know what happened with my microphones. It's that I charged one and my brain said task complete, and then I forgot to charge the other ones. That's what happened. So I've bought a multi-charging station so that I can charge 6 devices on one block, and they are currently all charging on it right now because half my equipment has already come in. I have also...
Thank you for resubscribing, Duct Tape Jake.
I also encountered another problem during the stream, and that was that I had lost access to my phone, because while streaming on your phone, you can't do things like check a text message, which is something that I need to be able to do if I'm at a protest, because if some shit happens on the other end of a protest down 300 people away from me, I need to be able to know, and the camera needs to also still be available during that. So I've also picked up a secondary phone. It's a Pixel 7. It's built specifically for camera work. It was like $200 for a old used one on Amazon. Picked that up, and I'm going to be getting a Mint Mobile subscription for it so I can stream from it without spending too much money on that.
This section of the stream brought to you by Jackery and Mint Mobile.
So, Passive vs. YouTube, thank you very much for the follow. So, all that to say...
You're supposed to tell me that you're supposed to counter my fake ad things here, or you're going to make me think that this is real.
Well, yeah, we're not sponsored by any of those people.
Just give us the money. We'll take it. We've already done the ad.
So, all of that to say, I learned a lot of lessons while at the protest about how ill-equipped for the media stuff that I wanted to be, I was, because I am so used to doing all of my work, in my office with all the equipment I've had for the last couple of years. Now that I know where my limits are, I have gotten the stuff I need to fix that. There is a dono link if you would like to help me recoup the costs for all of this, because I picked all of it up knowing that it was time sensitive to get.
Because it's not actually brought to you by Jackery or Mint Mobile.
Yeah, because they're not, and I can't even be sponsored by Skillshare at the moment. Not can't, but I got one of those emails where they were like, "Hi, I'm X with Skillshare. Would you like to work with us?" And when I said, "Sure, tell me more," they said, "Hey, we're willing to offer you a $1,000 down payment based on your channel size." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then they put a link, like, "Here's the link to the promo materials." And this link said like Skillshare.com/promo. So I first tried typing that link in and saw that link went nowhere. And then followed it up by copying the link into my clipboard, which gives you what the real link is. Mm-hmm. And it was to like Killian something, which I Googled and saw that it was part of a known scam.
Do you know how many emails I've gotten that's like, so I'm like, "Hi, I'm from Logitech. I want to sponsor you."
Yep, I got a Logitech one as well.
I get so many from, it's always Logitech, and the email addresses, like, they don't even hide the email address. It's always at like some random group of consonants.sz.
So with the Logitech one, when I got that email, the person claimed they were the CEO of Logitech. I reached out to Logitech and I was like, "Here, this is a thing that you may want to do."
Oh, I didn't think to do that. But...
Yeah, I have a Twitter correspondence with Logitech where I was like, "Hey, is this a real promo? And is this really your guys?" And it's just like, "No, that's not us. That's not us at all."
Yeah, I must admit I got excited at first because I like the Logitech things that I have. I like, so I'm like, yeah, I'll take some money from Logitech. Then as soon as I opened it, the email was just like, "Oh no. Okay, so that's it for stories. You want to talk about the protest?
Sure, I can talk about the protest. Yeah. So I won't record this part because I made a video about this already. I'll mostly be rehashing things that I said for that video. But so my day started with desperately scouring the internet trying to figure out where the protest was going to be, because Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall did not have a disclosed location until exactly 24 hours, not even exactly 24 hours, but it did not have a disclosed location until 24 hours before the actual event began. Now, we know why this is the case. It's because she's really fucking cowardly.
Yep.
She did not want to give the location out to anybody who might try to protest. Which is, of course, why the information got leaked out and a protest of over 200 people was formed effectively. Like, I figured out Yeah, I figured out when it was a handful of hours before the event started. So from my perspective, this was 200 people coming out on a sub 3-hour notice, basically. I guess people did know that they were going to want to come out, but not everybody knew if they were going to be able to make it. So that's the first funny, weird, and quirky thing. Here's the next funny, weird, and quirky thing. So I live, and I've now publicly disclosed where I live, not my address, but the county I live in, because with the amount of activity and activism shit that I'm doing in my county, that information is going to get let out anyway. Like, I work with the Paulding Democrats. They're going to figure out I'm in Paulding. They're going to put 2 and 2 together. But so Paulding County is in District 14. And when I say Paulding County is in District 14 of Georgia, I mean 100% of Paulding County is District 14. Recently, when the maps got redrawn, Cobb County, which is closer to the city area, Cobb County has 15% of its county in District 14, which of course is Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. So when I ask you, which county did Marjorie Taylor Greene decide to have her town hall in? Did she have it in the town hall with most of her constituents, or did she have it in the one that barely had any constituents in it because the area of Cobb it was in was rural? She had it in Cobb. Mm-hmm. She had it in the area that had a lower population, in specifically the sliver that she has, and would require a lot more driving to get to for everybody that wanted to get there. She made it super fucking inconvenient. For her own event, she was more than 10 minutes late to speaking at the event. An observation that I would like to make, that is a thing that narcissists do all the time.
Yeah, Trump
because
does
they believe that their time is worth more than your time. So they do it as a way to waste your time. There's also people who do it because they just have a very bad sense of time. That happens with me. But I'm also a bit of a narcissist. I'm literally a YouTuber. So there's no way to argue that I'm not a bit of a narcissist.
I would like to argue that being a YouTuber does not mean you're a bit of a narcissist.
That's something a narcissist would argue for, yes.
I hate listening to myself. I literally pay someone else to do that for me now.
That's entirely fair.
And when I get the video back and I have to review it, that's like, it's the worst. I hate it.
So, I get to the protest, and when I get there, when I start writing up, there's maybe about 10-ish people. By the time I get out of my car, it's closer to like 25 or 30 people. By the end of the protest, we had, 250. I took a guesstimate of like 300, but it feels like there's more people when you're in the crowd than when you're, looking at it objectively through a camera lens. We had newscasters who were looking at us. It's, again, why I was able to pull up, hey, here's the shot that has me holding a sign in it when I did my video. Still mad about that. So, during this event, there were a couple of things of note. One of them is that there was no coherent message from the Democrats. There were multiple different signs with multiple different messages, but we didn't have a guaranteed one coherent thing. Another thing that was weird, and I don't know if this was done as a self-preservation thing, but every time the cops got close to us, the chanting changed from, and this was caught on stream. The chanting changed from whatever the chant was at the time. We've cycled through like 20 of them that were all anti-Marjorie ones. To we back the blue, we support the blue, and I just stopped talking at that point because I'm like, I don't want to lie. I'm sorry, I don't want to lie. And the police, as they exist in the United States, I cannot support, especially not the ones who are here doing things that just are fucking awful. As for the police presence, the first thing I noted when I was coming up was just how many freaking police officers there were. There was a paddy wagon so that they weren't planning on having any vehicle leave the scene. They were planning on just throwing people into the wagon and then locking it up. They had 2 police on horseback that were constantly patrolling the area and were being strategically used for crowd control. As people got thrown into the paddy wagon, the horses stopped patrolling and they started just guarding the roads that would lead to the paddy wagon. So there's that. We had drones hovering over us the entire time, with the big fun red dot in the sky letting you know that they are recording the entire thing. Somebody made mention in the crowd, like, hey, their drones are recording, don't show your face. And I just kind of looked up and just went, I'm
live streaming.
I'm a public figure. They're gonna have everything they need on me anyway. So I asked around, and the guesstimate was outside we had about 40 police
Jake
officers.
would like to point out that horses don't exist.
Yeah, H-Bomber Guy told me
Goodbye,
as much.
horses.
You don't exist at all. God, I'm still pissed. There was a video that had him in it that I was 10 seconds away from being in, and I made a mistake. There was the
happens.
Just a side thing, the Stop Skeletons from Fighting Faceball video that just came out that H-Bomber Guy was in. Two of my friends, or actually a few of my friends, are in that video, and I was at the convention when they went to go shoot that video, but I had walked back into the convention hall to find something, and the convention hall at Portland was a Faraday cage, so I didn't get any notification that they were moving on. Anyway,
thank you, Content83, for giving out 3 community subs.
Local Fun Police said, did someone say content cop? I did see that iDubbbz just did a content cop again. Now, back to the protest. So we've got police with drones, we've got police outside, we've got tons of police vehicles, we've got police on horseback, and of course there were police inside the town hall. And over the course of the actual town hall event, we would see people come out who had gotten kicked out of the town hall. I noted that we got a chance to talk to one of the ladies who got kicked out of that town hall when I saw her in the news footage. So that all happened within the actual town hall itself. People got attacked. There was one guy, the guy who got tased, just so happens he was the black man.
You're one of the 2 black men that got tased. There were 2.
Oh, okay. So only the black people got tased.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the reason why I refused to chant "We Back the Blue" whenever that chanting started. Just no. I'm not going to lie just because of that. If a police officer wants to have a confrontation, they're going to have a confrontation. Changing what you chant isn't going to change that. I don't care about the amount of, like, there's good people in the cops. Yeah, I know. My cousin's a cop. I understand there's good people in the police. It doesn't change my stance on the organization. Apologies. So, during the protest, we had 2 people who are going to be running against Marjorie Taylor Greene in the crowd actively protesting with us. One's name is Sean. I can't remember his last name. He spoke on my stream for a bit.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah. But one of them name is Sean, and the other one's...
Other people are confused about my tube. Maybe I misread something, or I'm misremembering something. So, maybe it was only one.
I only remember it being one, but bear in mind, my information is going to be sketchy because I'm tainted by being outside the event. So my brain tells me I was there, I have an accurate representation, but I wasn't in the building, so no, the fuck I don't. I have an accurate representation of what went on outside of the event, which is a very different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Throughout the event, people who got kicked out were walking out very angry, very distraught. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the interesting things that happened in that actual town hall. So when I've gone to town hall before, it is supposed to be a point in time where your representative tells you what they've been doing for you, and then they hear your grievances with them so that they can start to improve. That is not what Marjorie Taylor Greene did. Every question was pre-screened. For you to get into the event at all, you had to put your questions in a questionnaire early, and then they would pre-screen them and answer some of them, the ones they chose to answer in the town hall. On the page for the town hall, Marjorie specifically said, this is not your time to protest, this is not your time to grandstand, which is effectively saying this is not your time for your voice to be heard. Despite the fact that at a town hall, that is what is supposed to be. You are 100% supposed to have your voice heard at the town hall.
Absolutely.
Riddle of Lightning says they turned the town hall into a rally. Yeah, it wasn't a town hall. It was a rally. It was a rally where she got to have police officers attack people
who
while
were
her
protesting
constituents
peacefully.
cheered. Yes, those are the ones.
They did not.
Those are the cops who were walking around.
Yeah, I've been looking through pictures and I found the horse cops, and not to play into the stereotypes, but these guys look like they're the horse cops because they've had enough donuts so they can't be on their own feet all day.
Maybe. Goblin says, it says the bitch who went there to grandstand. Yeah, that is...
She just wants to be able to say that, no, we're not afraid of having town halls. See, I held a town hall.
Yeah, that's what that's
all
what she
it is.
did. But because she actually even told the news that, like, the Republican Party told me not to have one, but I think it's important to have one, so she did. But she didn't have a town hall. She had a thing that was dressed up to kind of be a town hall, but had 5 times the police presence of any other town hall I've seen. The Nikema Williams town hall that happened in fucking Atlanta at the Teamsters building. So this is happening in the goddamn city. Had a much smaller police presence than the one that was had in a rural county of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to lose my stream. I do not want to risk your stream. I do not want to say the words that come to mind when I think of this woman now. I used to make content about her and say, oh, I make so much content about her because she's the rep in my area. That's why I care. But the closer I physically get to being around her at any event like this, the more sick to my goddamn stomach I get.
How about I just read my message to you when I found out that... she wasn't allowing members of the public who weren't pre-approved. I said, just shoot her from a distance then. With your camera, obviously.
Obviously.
Why
would it be anything else?
Yeah.
It couldn't be anything else. So, yeah, this whole thing, this whole event.
And Dither says, message retracted. We agree. I don't know what Dither actually said. You type a message, you delete it. I see message retracted on my end. I don't know if you guys see that on your end. But I just thought that was funny on the timing.
Evil Mod Pixie says MTG is what happens when a brainwashed conspiracy person with no morals gets elected into office. Yes. So a thing that I pointed out at the Paulding County Democrats meeting was I get emails from the office of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's important to get emails from the office of your representative so that you know what's going on in your area. I think it's important. And one of the emails that I got from the office of Marjorie Taylor Greene was passed Marjorie Taylor Greene's Gulf of America Act. Now, I don't know if you know, but she did not pass a Gulf of America Act. She has never passed a law. A act that she wanted to make was reported on favorably, and she twisted that into saying it passed.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Want this woman to experience what happens when you consume too many Tootsie Rolls and the taffy gets stuck in your jaw. That is what I want to happen to her. Among other things.
Leonari says, I'd be impressed if she passed stool without incident.
But Jashian and Webmage, thank you both for redeeming your points for an OWL. I know that there's a few that I haven't got to. Again, multiple people here. Aaron, I'm not going to comment on fucking seagulls. I'm sorry. No. No, I don't. I don't know if Georgia has seagulls. I have not seen seagulls in Georgia. Don't know, and also don't really care.
If you know, you know. I think I did a good enough job that if you know,
you did.
You'll figure that out.
You did.
That's my comment on seagulls. Okay, let's move on to tweets. Unless you've got more to say on the protest.
Nope, that was the protest. Afterwards, I went to go have lunch with a couple of the members of the Paulding Democrats.
Duct tape
that was
Jake
about
knows.
it.